Being the youngest little shit of my two older brothers, I of course got all the hand-me-downs. Everything from clothes and toys, and of course, video games and video game consoles. When they moved to the PS3 and Xbox 360, I got the PS2 and the Xbox. Even when I got the original Game Boy Advance, it was because my mom had found it at her job. So again, technically a hand-me-down, but this time, theft. But the first time I ever got my very own console was in 2004 with the release of the Nintendo DS. So of course, I got the Game Boy Advanced SP because that was only 70 bucks. And I always loved that because these handheld consoles were a lot cheaper to make than a whole big ass console, they came in such a wide variety of colors. I of course got this slick black colorway. And for all you wondering, this actually isn't the very first Game Boy I had. I actually had to buy this because when I was younger, my original was actually destroyed by my friend's little sister. Yeah, it was just like filled with water. Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm completely over it. Yeah. It's not like it was special to me or anything. It's not like it was my only console. It's not like I've been holding a grudge for over 10 years. Of course not. No, it's totally fine. It's not like my feelings mattered or anything like that. Or maybe that they should have been taken into consideration or something. Like, I don't know, maybe we should just like stop having kids or something. Like, wouldn't that be so crazy? Wouldn't it? But putting my hatred towards children aside, I couldn't have been happier. It was my very first personal console, all just to me. I stayed up so many nights in my bed just playing some of the best games I'd ever played because the Game Boy's game catalog is like, holy shit. There's just hundreds of hours of great gaming that can happen on this tiny screen because if you remember, this thing could play all the Game Boy games from the OG Game Boy all the way to this one. That's a lot of great games, but don't just take my word for it. Take it from someone who's a lot more professional, a lot more credible, and dare I say, kinda cute. What's up everyone, it's your boy, also hates children here. Let's just go ahead and list off a bunch of great gaming fun you can have on the GBA. The Legacy of Goku series? Oh my god! Except for that very first one. That one was kind of booty. Not the booty that I'm currently showing you on screen, but like real booty. I can't show you that on screen because who knows? Maybe your video that got over 40,000 views just might get removed for showing said booty. Wouldn't that be crazy? I'm still upset. But Legacy of Goku 2 and Boo's Fury were like actually amazing action RPG games. You can play through it with multiple characters, and on top of that, the story was super accurate to the actual show. Even the dialogue was very precise. And on top of all that, these games had some banger fucking OSTs. Some of them were even direct remixes to the Bruce Faulkner music, like the Cell theme. God, I love these games. Again, except for that first one. God, that game was fucking hard for no fucking reason, I swear. I will beat the Souls games again on a no-hit run, arms broken on some Wi-Fi shoes before I ever get anywhere near those level 1 wolf mobs. Those things, man. You can't talk handheld consoles without talking about the amazing Pokemon series here. This one specifically had all the games going from Gen 1 through 3, and you got some of my favorites like Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and of course Pokemon Emerald. Long car rides to things I definitely didn't want to do were no longer a problem because of this. I got so good at games like Link's Awakening and the most underrated Zelda, Minish Cap, to the point where I could beat the whole game on these long car rides because I'd played them so often. I was obsessed with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. The soundtrack, the dungeons, the storytelling. I must have had over like 500 hours on these games, 100 of which was just me leaving it on as I bawled in tears because of the ending. Still hoping I get isekai into the Pokemon world one of these days. The Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is one of the best Mario games ever, and it lives here on the GBA. You had great Castlevania games, you had great Kirby games, you had the very underrated Advance Wars games, Metroid games, Wario games, Drill Dozer, Mega Man Zero, the Mother series, Golden Sun? God, I loved this game. The OST, full of bangers. The art style, mwah, beautiful. And the gameplay, still good to this day. Please, if you've never played Golden Sun, just play Golden Sun. And of course you had Final Fantasy and a bunch of other great ports. I have so many vivid memories of staying up way too late on school nights because fucking epic, dude. Just playing my Game Boy, only to then for my mom to walk in ready to eviscerate me with her Dragon in the Darkness flame technique, in which I then had to counter by closing my pretending to sleep until the coast was clear, and then opening it back up and trying to finish that goddamn Dino Egg mission in Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku 2. Fuck that mission, dude. Fuck. But even more than a great game catalog, I think the GBA really showed me what makes Nintendo stand out in the video game market. You see, Nintendo at the time wasn't really known for its lifelike, every last hair follicle on a polygon's asshole graphics. Compared to the other consoles, they were considered underpowered. And yet they've still stayed around for all these years. And while yes, part of that is because they have games that no other consoles can have, no other console can have a Zelda, no other console can have a Mario, but I also think it's part of how they design their consoles, what their consoles can offer that other consoles can't. Let me ask you, nowadays, why do you buy one console over another? Maybe you pay a guy $900 to finally get a PS5 so you can play all the exclusive games like Demon Souls. Yeah, maybe you pay $400 for the Xbox Series S Delta Plus Premium Membership Package so that you can look at a black screen all day because Xbox
ain't got games. It ain't got games.
I'm kidding. You pay $400 for that Game Pass so you can play those games that you played 10 years ago. Again, jokes aside, as time has went on, it feels like consoles have just become less powerful PCs that you only buy because they have one exclusive that the other doesn't. After a while, exclusives just kind of became the whole reason to buy a console. Nothing that the console itself can offer outside of that. But that wasn't the case with Nintendo. Now, if I'm starting to sound like I got a big veiny Nintendong in my mouth, that's because I do. Haha! Penis. Nintendo, because they can't rely on having the best possible hardware, had to fight back with what some people would call gimmicks, but what I would call console identity. Penis. And while yes, me saying console identity makes me sound like a pretentious Joseph Campbell's hero's journey quoting mouth breather, just hear it out, okay? Console identity could be features or just things in general that one console can do that the others can't, outside of just game exclusives. The Wii? The Wii has identity. Sure, you've got it to play some games, but you also got it for what it can offer outside of those games. The Mii's and all the other channels that you can go on, the fact that everything was motion controlled so that anybody could play. Because of this battery-packed dildo, now even your grandpa can beat you in a game of tennis. You can furiously wave your arms around and knock out your entire family as Mii's, or get your shit absolutely rocked by. And that's why I think these handheld consoles, point of the video, held so much value to me and still hold up to this day. Gaming on the go, power in my pocket, anywhere I wanted to play this thing could be my oasis of comfort. The toilet is a sacred place for me. It's where I get my best ideas, it's where I find safety and comfort and man-spreading. Now that I have this, what normally would have been a 3 to 5 minute clenching of cheeks has now become an hour-long sweating deathmatch against that goddamn worm boss in Link to the Past that I just can't beat because it falls. God damn. The Game Boy legit made me feel like I had the power of God in my hand. And thank the Nintendo gods almighty for giving this thing a light, because holy sh*, you remember those older Game Boys when they didn't have this sh*? You had to buy a whole third-party, light thing just to see your Game Boy in the dark. And this one also was rechargeable, so you didn't need to look like a f***ing Neanderthal buying batteries for your Game Boy. To me, this is the ultimate Game Boy experience, and I think as a console, this still holds up today. Can I just mention the fact that the DS is still like the second best selling console of all time? That alone says a lot about the beauty of handheld consoles. And once again, another handheld console with just an amazing game catalog. This thing gives you generations 4 and 5 of Pokemon, aka the best ones, Bowser's Inside Story, more Advance Wars, more Fire Emblem, more Castlevania, Mario Kart DS, Animal Crossing, Dragon Quest, more Final Fantasy, Shin Megami Tensei, Etrian Odyssey, Hotel Dusk, Phoenix Wright, Professor Layton. I could go all day, people. And while I'll admit the 3DS wasn't as iconic or as great as the DS, it still gave you a bunch of great games, just thousands of hours of great fun gaming. Especially if you're a JRPG loving weeaboo like myself. Oh my god, this thing was JRPG heaven. But again, it's more than just the amazing game catalog. Maybe I can go on PictoChat if I'm feeling like seeing some crudely drawn penises. Or if you're my friend Chris, maybe because of the DS, you saw your very first low quality pic of a corner of a boob. If it's not too much to ask, please do me a favor, go down in the comments right now and drop a shout out to Chris. I also really appreciated how the DS had games that utilized the DS hardware, games that only worked because they're on the DS. I remember being stuck on this Zelda Phantom Hourglass puzzle where you had to copy a map from the top screen to the bottom one. I was sweating, losing my mind, pulling out every last individual ass hair, trying to figure out this giga-brain 10-head puzzle. But then I realized I closed the DS. And when I opened it, the map was copied. Please tell me someone here has played The World Ends With You. It's this urban cityscape action RPG with like this huge youth culture fashion look, and it has an anime art style. I am wet. Also, the characters were designed by my boy Tetsuya Nomura, so you know they got the drip. But the coolest thing about this game, full of cool ass things, was the fact that the combat, you actually needed to play on both screens, which yes, did make things a bit more complicated and difficult, but regardless, it just added so much personality and identity to this console and to this game. You can only play this game on here because it was made for the console, because it had 2 screens. Which, I don't know, to me, it's fucking cool. I think it's really fucking cool. Don't you? No, yeah, it's fucking cool. Exactly. Are you kidding? You know how many games in this thing made me look like a fucking Nimrod because I had to fucking shout into the mic to do something on the game? But it was things like that that I loved so much about these handheld consoles. It's what gave them their console identity. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a PSP on me. I'm just not cool enough. No, but I swear, there was always the fucking cool kids who had the PSP. I know for a fact that when Nintendo saw that this thing was coming out alongside the DS, oh, I knew they were bricks. But it didn't. The DS sold better. Don't get me wrong, the PSP sold great, but so did the DS. I'm mentioning this because there's always been this weird thing where when another company makes a handheld console, now it's gonna kill the DS, or it's gonna kill the Switch. But it never does. It didn't happen here with the PSP, and it's not gonna happen with the Steam Deck. There can be more than one iconic, great handheld console at a time. 2 legends can coexist, people. There's enough losers on this world who want to play games on their shooters, okay? And I totally get why people thought the PSP was gonna kill the DS. By pretty much all means, it should've. You can play console-level graphics games on a tiny screen. You got internet, YouTube, music, movies. This was 2004. It was ahead of its time. But I also think that's why it wasn't as iconic as the DS and why it didn't kill the DS. Though it was ahead of its time, what it was trying to do, because of the time it was trying to do it, it just couldn't do it. Speech 100. Let me say that in a less monkey way. The Switch is great because you can play console games on the TV and on handheld, and they're around the same level. But here on the PSP, because it was such an early time, and the whole point of the PSP was to put these console games on a smaller screen, it made it so most of the game catalog was just the console game, but a less watered down tiny screen version of it. The PSP didn't have a lot of games like The World Ends With You, a game that was solely created for the DS. Sure, you had GTA just like the console, but it was a tiny screen watered down version of GTA, which personally just made me want to go play the console version because it's the exact same thing, but just better. I think the PSP needed more games that were solely for the PSP and not just lesser versions of console games. It's stuff like this that I think shows the importance of what makes a great console game versus what makes a great handheld game. Which makes so much sense now that the Nintendo Switch is one of the best consoles ever. I'm sorry. This is Nintendo's ultimate form. It merges their two worlds, their console gaming market and their handheld gaming market. And when comparing this to the Xbox One or the PS4, it gives you something that those two can't. It can be played on handheld. Now don't get me wrong, I know that not everyone that owns a handheld console actually goes everywhere with their handheld consoles. No matter how much Nintendo pushes this idea of you and a cool young group of cool young 20-somethings going to a cool high young 20-something rooftop secluded party and bringing your cool high young, most of us are probably not gonna do that. Do you all remember that ad where like a guy brings a Switch to like a basketball game, and instead of like playing actual basketball, all the people start playing basketball on the Switch? But it's the fact that you can. That's the beauty of handheld consoles. Where you play is your choice. Whether that be in a car on a long trip, or while releasing the 5th chalupa from Taco Bell that you definitely shouldn't have eaten. Yikes. Or in my favorite way, on my bed, propping up a nice castle of pillows so I can be as comfortable as that Pokemon Mystery Dungeon art style. Just losing hours of my life living in these huge, colorful worlds on these tiny screens. Wherever, whenever you choose. I'm Internet Pitstop. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry I can't talk about every great game on these handheld consoles because there's just too many. And I'm sorry if there was any handheld console that you wanted me to talk about that I couldn't. It's not really that kind of video, it was just more about talking about the essence of what makes handheld consoles great. But for this, I really want you all to just leave me some amazing comments. Tell me about your favorite handheld console, or your favorite handheld console games, or just your favorite handheld console memories. Or, you know what? Your favorite place to play your favorite handheld console. Sorry, these are a lot of questions. As always, if you like what I do, you can leave me a like and subscribe. But with all that being said, thank you so much for coming to this little pit stop on the corner of the internet. Peace.